Hi guys, Kim Jong Lee here, bringing you a battle sent in by a subscriber. This is Cyrus the Great. Some of you might know him. He's playing against Kable of Roman Victor clan. Cyrus here is faking as Huntsman. He's playing a Scythia against Armenia, which is, I guess, fairly balanced. I think Scythia generally has a pretty good time against Cataphract factions though, because you have a speed advantage most of the time and a skirmish advantage, of course. So your archers are always going to be better than those of the eastern factions. For example, Armenia, although your archers are a bit more expensive because you have to use the archer warband, but that's not too much of a worry because you save a lot of money on the headhunting maidens anyway, because they're such a good light cav unit. One of the best value cav units in the game, punch way above their weight in most cases, and that's a big reason for why Kable has gone for some of these Arab cav instead. If you try and go one-on-one against the maidens with cataphracts, a lot of the time you lose positioning because the maidens are faster than you, so it's hard to get good angles in, because the maidens can run away really easily and the maidens can get better angles than you because of their speed. So he's gone for some of these Arab cav which are light cav, which means he's going to be able to maybe counter-attack against some of these archers a lot better than if he had cataphracts, and also maybe get better positioning. But that does mean he doesn't have that cav advantage that Armenia is pretty used to, so he's had to also go for heavy spearmen with the money he saved by bringing these Arab cav. He's got two cataphracts here to try and bring some cav strength back to his side, but he's got to be careful with these cataphracts because it's quite easy to get them caught, especially when they're far away from the pike. So he's going to have to keep these cataphracts close to the pike for a good while, unless he wants the maidens to snipe them. The maidens can also snipe the pike if he's not careful, so you know, a lot of versatility with the maidens here, so Cyrus has to be careful not to lose them. And nice moves by Kable here, actually pulling some of the archer warband away. I would like to see him be maybe a little bit more active with these Arab cav, if only to maybe tire out these maidens or something. Cyrus is going for a nice move here. He's just charging into the the cav archers, the horse archers, sorry, of Kable, and he's probably going to get this one here. So that's a pretty good pick off for Cyrus there. It's always very important to micro your horse archers, and it's not the easiest thing to do because they are pretty micro intensive, especially when your opponent goes for surprise charges, because you don't always have your eye on them. Warhounds I really like. I think Warhounds are a great unit, and it seems like Huntsman, Cyrus is going to put them to use here. He's going to pick off this last horse archer unit as well. Kable at this point feels pressured enough to try and make something happen with these pikes and light cav. He's going to go for a push here, which seems to be doing quite some work, but he has to be careful to get his pikes down in time and also micro some of this light cav properly, because he is losing quite a bit of light cav to the maidens, and as I said before, the maidens are going to be very key here, and the maidens are going to very easily kill any units that aren't really under the protection of the pike. So already a number of light cav units being killed there. Two light cav units have been killed. This one's going to die here to the maidens. And while the pike are standing around, they're going to get shot. So that's also not very good. Maidens chasing the archers now, so I guess fairly standard, being pursued by cataphracts, and they could probably just take these cataphracts now because they're far away from the pike. Looks like Kable's going to try and get away, but the maidens are faster than the cataphracts, so they're going to get quite a few kills on the pursuit here. He's going to easily be able to pull back before the pike get in there. Meanwhile, these archers is going to keep shooting. The cav is fine, pikes are fine too. This Arab cav unit is way too depleted to really do much work. It's only got 10 guys, so when the archer units have this big 10 light cav isn't going to really cut it. These cataphracts are going to cut it if they get in there though, so sending these cataphracts after these archers actually isn't too bad. Seems like this warhound is going to go straight into the pike, which is not a good idea. The pike do seem to have been caught a bit out of position, but again, these cataphracts are isolated, so again Cyrus is going to be able to pick up kills onto some of these cataphracts here as they run away. And Kable should probably... Here's the thing, right? When Kable is always going to try and bring it back to the pike. So as soon as Cyrus sees the pike coming in, all he has to do is run away, and that should be it. These archers are going to be pretty happy with the amount of kills they're getting at this point. I think it's heavily in favor of Cyrus. Infantry is never as good as cav in CWB, so all these infantry don't really mean much. Kable is going to have to keep going after the archers here, which I think he's not really doing. Maybe he was going after this one, but going after the warhound doesn't really help. He has to keep pushing into these archers. Pushing against the cav doesn't help either. And his ability to go after the archers at this point is very limited because he has lost a lot of his light cav, which was his main vehicle for chasing these archers. It's really hard with it's actually a lot harder than it looks to push with infantry and light cav at the same time into archers, just because if your opponent's cav advantage is really big, your light cav will die, will rout super quick if they get caught there for even a few seconds. And the maidens just happen to be a really powerful cav unit, so yeah, they're really good at catching things because of their speed as well. I think there's not much Kable can do. Cyrus will probably snipe off a few of these spearmen that are running around, and that will probably be it. This one's routing for sure. These ones will probably follow suit because the morale isn't really that good. Some of them are shaken. That's never good to see. Kable has to keep pursuing. I think he has to keep pursuing these archers, but the problem is if he pursues the archers, then the maidens will just snipe off their cav. So Cable's really just stuck at this point. Really comes back down to the way the fact that he just got his light cav killed and caught very early on by the headhunting maidens. He really needed those light cav to kill a lot of these archers with, and he hasn't really been able to do that. There are peasants as well, which is funny, but Kable should not be going after the peasants. As you can see, his cataphracts are very tired now, so that always sucks. That means he's a lot less willing to chase after these archers now. On the bright side, I don't think there are too many archers left. There are actually only 3 archer units left. 4, okay, that's quite a bit. 5 even. So yeah, 5 archers left. It's gonna be tough. Yeah, that one's dead infantry unit. Really not much Kable can do. Really not much he can do. If he tries to chase something with the cataphracts, they're not going to catch it because they're tired and they're cataphracts. And obviously the infantry aren't going to catch anything. These Arab cav are the only hope he has of catching anything, so he should probably try and chase something with these. And chasing barbarian peasants is not very helpful. He should have gone after this chosen archer warband instead. but maybe it's run out of arrows, so Cyrus probably doesn't even care. Yep, they've run out of arrows. So Cyrus is happy to throw that one away. But he should be looking for archer warband that still have arrows left and be trying to kill them. That would be beneficial for him. Killing chosen archer warband without arrows is not that helpful. Again, killing barbarian peasants, padding his stats, but not really advancing towards winning the game. And Kable is super behind now. The volume of Scythian headhunting maidens is just really, really huge. There's just way too many of them. I think even a head-on charge would win Cyrus the game at this point. He's used all his arrows as well. So maybe a good idea for Cyrus would have been to save some arrows, even on these horse archers, just to use against Kable when he's stationary and can't move, like at this point. He can't really move because all his guys are tired, and he's not going to catch anything anyway. So this is a good situation for horse archers to just get free shots in, or even regular archers to get free shots in. So Cyrus at this point should probably just keep these archers far away and try to play with the cav and just prevent a mass rout happening, so hence keeping these archers a bit further away from where he expects the main fight to take place. I guess both players are resting at the moment, but Cyrus could probably just win the game by charging straight in, because the Cataphracts are very tired. His guys are only tired, so that's actually pretty advantageous for him. Although some of his horse archers are very tired, I think, but that doesn't really matter. Alternatively, he could just throw these archers in first and let them rout for a bit before he closes off the game with the cav. But overall, Cyrus in very dominating position. This is just being dragged out unnecessarily long. Okay, Kable gonna just get surrounded here and probably killed. Not much to see. The volume of headhunting maidens is just really too much. And come back to the fact that Kable wasn't able to make anything happen with his light cav, because if you spend 6 of your 8 cav slots on light cav, you have to kill a lot of archers with them. Otherwise, nothing really happens. Otherwise, you just wasted 6 slots of cav, and you're then fully dependent on your infantry. And in CWB, you can't really count on infantry to do that much for you. So, yeah, I think that's just the nature of Cable's loss there. Good game to both players anyway. Yeah, I'll see you guys again.